Thanks for having me. My name is Tricia Beck Peter. This is Compassionate Conversations with Conservatives. And a little bit about me. So I am here today because Charles Koch spent a lot of money on me. I spent 6 years as a professional libertarian, working in the libertarian and conservative industry. So I am your inside baseball host tonight. I resigned in 2023 as a conscientious objector, as my employer decided they were going to move to the right of the Heritage Foundation. Does that make anyone else anxious? Because it makes me anxious. And so now I'm here to share with you the secrets of conservative communication and philosophy and how they respond or how to talk to conservatives about abortion access. This is how to talk to conservatives you actually like and respect, right? We all have holidays, we all have families, Easter's coming up, right? And so I believe that these are topics that are evergreen that we are always going to be talking about. So this is the presentation on how to talk to conservatives you like and respect about reproductive rights and access. If you want to learn how to talk to conservatives you don't like or respect, invite me back. That's another presentation. So how do I talk to conservatives about abortion? My advice is that you should ask questions they've never considered and provide information they've never heard. Let me say that again. Ask questions they've never considered and provide information they've never heard. So this is the question that I start with, that I encourage you all to start with. And it seems like a very simple question, but it is actually a mind-blowing reframe to the conservative narrative on abortion. And that is, can you think of any good reasons why a woman would want an abortion? Right? All of conservative rhetoric around abortion is focused on the fetus, which, by the way, is the historical anomaly. Abortions have been happening since 1500 BCE, and for the majority of human history, the focus was on the experience of the woman, not on any idea of fetal life, fetal personhood, fetal autonomy. That is a very new concept. So if we uncouple the two things and we invite them to reframe, we can break the narrative cycles that have guided how they engage with this debate. Now, if we ask this question, what's going to happen? They're not going to jump to the right conclusion. We're not going to start in a good faith conversation, unfortunately. The reality of the situation is that we are going to have to start by countering bad faith objections. So, what do bad faith objections sound like? These are objections in which bad faith means they're not truly engaging with the question. So we're going to get something like this. Women who want abortions are evil. They are sinful. They are selfish. They are misled, right? Something to do with the character of the woman. It's pretty easy to kind of decouple this, but we're going to do it Socratic method style. We're going to ask them some more questions. What percentage of the women you've ever met are evil, are sinful, are selfish, are misled? Because in my experience, most of the women that I've met are pretty good people, right? They're considerate. They take care of their friends and their family and their neighbors. They're trying to do what's right for the people in their lives. They're not perfect, probably, but most people I know are trying. Most women I know are trying. Most people believe that most people are good or try to be, right? Here's the reality. Between a quarter and a third of American women will have an abortion in their lifetime. Between a quarter and a third. That is a staggering percentage, right? That is not a minority. I mean, I guess it's technically a minority, but this is a huge population of people. Do you think between a quarter and a third of American women are selfish, evil, sinful, misled, selfish? No, they are none of those things, right? If it doesn't make sense that between a quarter and a third of American women are evil, then it doesn't make sense that women who have abortions are evil, right? Like it's just not a statistical. Now, you're going to have some people who think that 99% of people are sinful and that, only a very small have claimed God's salvation or whatever. You're going to get people who literally cannot engage with you on this argument. There are some people you can't engage with, right? But if you can get them to the table, if you can get them thinking about this is a good tactic. So we've gotten them to think about the math. Let's get them to think about people. Ask them to think of the women they love and how would they be described? Would you describe them as considerate? And then we can tell them women have good reasons for making the decisions that they do. They don't make big decisions flippantly. So it stands to reason that most women who have abortions are doing it because they have a good reason. And later in the presentation, I'm going to break down the scientific reasons, like the actual data on why women have abortions, right? I'll give you that data. So engage again. So can you try to think of another one? Under what circumstances would you feel anxious about having a baby? Let's try another bad faith argument. Women who want abortions are irresponsible. They should have just used birth control. Well, here's some science for you. They probably were using birth control. And reputable study of women seeking abortions, 65% used a method of contraception during the month they became pregnant. To manage a person's fertility for their entire fertile lifespan, experts have done the math, and I'm going to show you a chart of all of the contraceptives that you would need to use in varying methods. And guess what? Even if you use the most reliable, least room for human error contraceptive methods throughout your life, there is still a chance of becoming pregnant. This is what that chart looks like. So if you used condoms exclusively for your entire reproductive lifestyle, you could expect up to 3.8, so let's round it to 4 unwanted pregnancies from condom use, using it perfectly every time. If you use the pill, you'd have to take almost 7,000 pills perfectly, and still up to 2 unwanted pregnancies. The biggest variable on the data here is how much room for human error there is. So on things like an IUD, the number is very low. For things like the withdrawal method, which has a lot of room for human error, the rate is very high, almost 7 unplanned pregnancies. By the way, this is factoring in 2 planned pregnancies, so up to 9 total, right? I mean, the data's just not there. So they probably were using birth control. And if they were using abortion as birth control, they would need to have 30 first trimester abortions. Let me say that again, 30 first trimester abortions. Nobody has 30 abortions, I guarantee you. They are painful, they are expensive, they are a pain in the ass to procure. Nobody's having 30 abortions, right? You have 1, maybe 2, and then you change some lifestyle habits, maybe add on a secondary form of birth control. Nobody's having 30 abortions. Nobody is using abortion as birth control. And let's say even if they were being irresponsible, do you really want irresponsible women to parent children? Is that like the best cause and effect scenario that we can imagine? Let's try thinking of another reason, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the bad faith argument and we're going to redirect. We're going to redirect to data and we're going to redirect to compassion. We're going to redirect to having them empathize with the circumstances of the person, right? It's not about an argument and it's not about a baby. It is about a woman making a decision and how she would feel and why she might choose it. So once you've gotten through the bad faith arguments, hopefully we'll get to a place where they start to give you some good answers. And here's what we're going to do. When they give us a good answer, we are going to affirm it and we are going to support it. We are going to be excited. We are going to be thrilled about that good answer. So let's see. Women have abortions because they can't afford to have a baby. Yes, yeah, we're going to hype them up. Like, yes, this is exactly. They can't afford to have a baby. Babies are expensive, even if you don't keep the baby. All of the doctor's appointments, the prenatal vitamins, the the maternity clothes, all of the stuff that you are doing even before the baby gets there. And if you keep the baby, if you have a baby, if you raise a baby, if you send the baby to college, babies are expensive. So we're going to hype them up, right? We're going to be excited that they got here. We're going to be thrilled. We're going to be jazzed. And then we're going to give them data. Pregnant women, we're going to talk about all of these things. We're going to talk about paid parental leave. We're going to talk about the cost of delivering a baby in the modern healthcare system, and that might be a great Medicare for all plug, right? We're going to talk about it. 40% of women seeking abortions said it was because of money. Here's the second part. We're going to give them data. 40% of women seeking an abortion said it was because of money, and 50% of women seeking an abortion live in poverty. right? So we've affirmed, we've supported. We can ask another one. What's next? Why else? Women have abortions because maybe they have other children to care for. Yes, families should only have as many children as they can care for well. We all understand that there is a reasonable limit to how many children a family can support, and pushing past that is bad for children, bad for the families. That's why we all make fun of the Duggars, right? We get it. The children of women who are denied abortions are more likely to miss developmental milestones, right? When families have more children than they can provide for, the children suffer. Also, here's some data. 60% of women seeking abortions are already mothers, right? We have this idea of who has an abortion in our head, and it's single, wanton, college-age hussy, like whatever ridiculous stereotypes you could put on a woman. But 60% of abortion patients are already mothers, and 29% of women seeking abortions said it was to provide for the children they already have. What's another good reason? Women have abortions because pregnancy and delivery can be dangerous. Yes, not all pregnancies are safe and viable, right? America's maternal mortality is so high that it is 14 times more dangerous to give birth than to have an abortion. Birth is not a health neutral event. It's not something you just move on from. One in, what is it, 116? I can't see that part of the slide. Wait, no, we're going the wrong way. There we go. 11,300 mothers die in childbirth, right? That is today in the United States. And if abortion is banned, that's going to go up by another 30%. So, yes on 4. Health complications on the part of the mother, like high blood pressure, or on the part of the fetus, like anencephaly or being ectopic, can make a pregnancy more dangerous. Women deserve to live for their own sakes and for the sakes of their family and community. Despite widespread myths that abortion is dangerous, it's not. The risk of complications from abortion, 2%. 2% risk of complications. And that is all complications. That's like cramping, right? The risk of a serious complication, think needing a blood transfusion, less than 0.25%. Abortion is safe, and it is especially safe when it is accessible. So, what would happen to your family if you died tomorrow? What would happen to your children if your wife died tomorrow, right? There are real women who are living and dying by our abortion policies. And if we can make that real for them, we might be able to engage them empathetically. All right, what's next? Women have abortions because of the fathers, right? Like we all have a sense that not all men are good, safe fathers. Even outside of cases of rape and incest, many women feel they do not want a permanent attachment to the man that impregnated them. These men may be violent, controlling, a danger to the future child, or he may just be a DJ, right? Like plenty of reasons not to want to be with a guy forever. 30% of abortion patients said that the men in their lives are a reason for seeking an abortion, right? So here's what we're doing, right? We're affirming the reason they come up with, and we're supporting it with data. So let's do it again. Women have abortions because of the timing. Yes, women seeking abortions have unique goals and circumstances. They may be in school. Maybe they just had a baby. Maybe they're caring for a sick relative. Maybe they're running for Congress, right? Maybe they might be dealing with a serious illness themselves. Only an individual knows the circumstances of their own life. If you want conservative brownie points, ladies and gentlemen, that is a term called local knowledge. It derives from the conservative economist F.A. Hayek. Local knowledge is the idea that the person who has experienced something has the best, most complete, and unique knowledge of the situation and is the best person to make the call, right? So if you want to, throw in a little conservative buzzword, that's local knowledge. So, timing. Many women who have abortions want a baby someday, just not right now. 78% of abortion patients are under the age of 30. 18% of them are teenagers, or in some cases, Children. We do have children who are impregnated in this country, 9-year-olds giving birth, right? There is no good time to squeeze in a childbirth between your fourth grade classes. Just one day they will be wonderful mothers, but not this time. One day they'll be able to support themselves, have a loving family, but this is not the time. They've got things to do with their lives. 35% of abortion patients said that timing was a factor for them wanting an abortion. Well, okay, so what have we done? We took the bad faith arguments, then we engaged in good faith. Now, they're not going to come to the end of this conversation feeling great about abortion. Sorry. They're still going to feel uncomfy. And frankly, this may be many conversations. This may not be one come to Jesus moment, right? So at the end of whatever session you're in, if they trust you with their emotions, they're probably going to say something like this. Well, those are some good reasons, but it still feels wrong to me. Look, this is a huge shift. This is a huge emotional and philosophical shift. I went through it. I grew up in a very pro-life, anti-choice Catholic family, Catholic church, right? So I understand it is an emotional change to be ready to support abortion. So here is where part of you is going to want to scream. You're going to be like, why did you make it so very clear? I gave you data. I supported you. I did the thing. You got to take a breath. You got to calm down, back up, and engage with them empathetically. If they engage with you empathetically, you got to engage with them empathetically. So we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to be like, I see. Tell me what feels wrong. Now we're going to get to the emotional heart of this. What about the baby? This is what they're going to say first. And ladies and gentlemen, this one sucks, right? I can't pretend it doesn't suck. It sucks, right? But we have to be able to address it. So here are 3 tactics for answering what about the baby using conservative philosophy. And this is the fun one for me. They made me read all of that conservative philosophy, and now I'm using it against them. So, tactic 1, parental rights. Who's heard Tucker Carlson whine about this on the news lately? Parental rights, the reason they're banning all the books. The parental rights argument basically says that parents have local knowledge. Parents understand the circumstances of their families and should have the final say on things their children are exposed to, right? So we're going to take that argument and we're going to twist it. I know. What about the baby? I know, but the baby isn't able to make decisions yet. And in this case, it is the role of the parent to decide what's best. And if the mother thinks it's best for the whole family that the baby not be born or the pregnancy not continue, I think the mother knows best, right? I support her parental right to make the choice for her family. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fun? Let's go number 2, the rights argument. The baby has rights. As if the baby is waving around a Remington shotgun in utero. Sure, the baby does. We can. This is one I would have to lie on. You might not have to lie. You might think the baby has rights. I would be lying. I don't think the baby has rights, but I will pretend that I do for the sake of an argument. I agree. Both parties have rights in this situation. The woman has a right to decide how her body is used, and the baby has a right to live if it can. However, if the woman uses her right to decide that she can't carry the pregnancy, that that's not what's right for her, and the baby cannot survive outside of her body, but it can't survive inside her body without her consent, she's not responsible for what happens to the baby. Here's the metaphor I use on this one. Imagine you're in a cabin in the woods in a snowstorm, and a man breaks in to your cabin with a gun. He is clearly there to hurt you. If you are the good guy with the gun, and you get the guy breaking into your snowy cabin, and you take his gun and you toss him out into the snow and he dies in the snow. Are you responsible for his death? No, right? You didn't kill him, the snow killed him, right? The exposure killed him. You had a right to decide who could be in your home. And if you deemed that this person was a threat to you, was a threat to your safety, was a threat to your family, and you had to expel him from your cabin and he died in the elements, it's not you. This one's not great, but you can take it more tactfully if you want to, right? The third is the fetal development argument. I'm going to skip ahead a little in the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an embryo at 6 weeks. This is the thing that your governor thinks is equivalent to me, a human woman, in rights, status, and legal protection. It's about half an inch long. It is a cell, a group of cells. There is nothing closely relating a human with human features or organs. It is as much a person as an acorn is an oak tree. And I don't know about you, but I've never read a good book under an acorn. It is as much a person as the eggs in my fridge are a chicken. And God, I hope it's not a chicken. It would be very cold and uncomfortable in that carton in my fridge. Right? So if we can have like a scientific discussion about this and show them the picture. This picture is on the internet. It is a good picture. It is reputable. I promise. This is what it looks like. We have this idea of what an embryo at 6 weeks looks like that we get from the baby books when they're like, oh, it's the size of a lentil. It is the size of a lentil. This is not a human being. Let's go back. So, fetal development argument. Here's the problem. Talking about the baby rarely leads to changed hearts or minds. It is part of the discussion. You're not going to get around it. You got to be prepared to do it. You also got to bring it back. Okay, we're at 22 minutes, I think. So I'm going to speed run the rest of this so there are questions. The next one you're going to get is that people think abortion is bad for women. It's not bad for women. There's a reputable study, 1,000 participants, 5-year longitudinal study where they studied every facet of these women's lives. Unequivocally, abortion is not bad for women. 95% of women a year later said that their abortion was the right choice for them. They said the people who were most likely to regret being involved in abortion are the people who were denied one. It does not lead to suicidal thoughts, PTSD, drinking, drugs, tobacco, low self-esteem, lower life satisfaction. Women who received a wanted abortion were more likely to have a positive outlook on the future and achieve aspirational life plans within a year. Women denied an abortion were 4 times more likely to live in poverty. They were more likely to be unemployed, right? Like all of this data that's right here for you to read. Unequivocally, abortion does not harm women. If you want to read this study called the Turnaway Study, you can get the synopsis online, or the book is fascinating. Here's a quote, but we don't have time for it. Then you're going to get, it's against my political beliefs. Please remind them that they are the minority. 61% of Americans believe abortion should be legal in all or most cases. Then remind them, abortion is not a partisan issue. Nobody walks into an abortion clinic saying, I'm here to exercise my constitutional right. Right? No, that's not how this works. It is a personal decision, not a political one. Then we talked about this. By the way, most women are unaware that they're pregnant at 6 weeks. And on the topic of the heartbeat ban, this does not have a heart, right? If it doesn't have a heart, it can't have a heartbeat. That's not what it is. If I bang on a table, that's percussion. It's not a drum beat because a table is not a drum. If there is no heart, there is no 4-chambered organ pumping blood through a circulatory system. There is no circulatory system. There is no heart. Ergo, not a heartbeat ban. Just a cruel ban that puts women in a terrible position. And if they are telling you about yes on 4 and they say protection up to viability is too long, please tell them that 92% of abortions take place in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy, dealing with something that is not completely unlike this. And in the rare case of 2nd trimester and 3rd trimester abortions, they are rare. They are very rare, and they mostly happen because either someone couldn't get an abortion when they wanted one, or because there were legal or like financial reasons or health reasons keeping them from accessing an abortion at an earlier stage. For the 1.7% of cases that are after viability, I guarantee you that was a wanted baby. That was a wanted baby. They have a name, they have a nursery. They are desperately wanted and desperately loved, and that pregnancy is not viable or it will kill the mother. and that family should have the right to terminate, even if it is heartbreaking. And I guarantee you, no one's heart is broken more than theirs. So, where can you learn more about all of this? The Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. I feel like I skipped the slide where they said the religious leader wouldn't be okay with it. There are plenty of resources how to talk to religious people about abortions. I am not religious. I'm not the person to tell you that. And if you are religious, please look inside your own faith tradition and be ready to have those conversations. Okay, that is it. I'm going to look at the chat for questions.